I was a stay-at-home mom. I helped my husband run his business. I put dinner on the table, and I helped with school, and I did everything a good mom should do. And I never did anything for me until I was 55 years old. It's not for me to do it for my husband. It's not for me to do it for my children. It's for me.
She has grown over the last 10 years to close to 500,000 subscribers.
And he said to me, "So how many subscribers do you have?" And I go, "Well, I have only 500,000, but I'm really trying hard to get more." And he said, No, not viewers, subscribers, right? So he's checking me out on his phone, right? And he gets to me and he goes, "Wow." I said, "Yeah, not bad for an old lady." And he goes, No, I wasn't thinking that." I said, "You totally were thinking that." So in our generation, it's still very new, but we're also the generation that we want to learn it. Love the back button. It is my favorite button in the entire computer world. Back.
Welcome to The Creative Second Act, a show about creators, teachers, and storytellers over 40 making an impact on YouTube and other platforms, and their journeys of reinventing themselves in the creative second act. Today on the show, we have Laura Coia, the host of the So Very Easy YouTube channel, which she has grown over the last 10 years to close to 500,000 subscribers. Before becoming a celebrity YouTuber, you can ask her about that in a second, she was a stay-at-home mom who made clothing and items for her friends and family. She also has experience working at tailor shops, leather factories, and clothing stores. She is also published author of 3 books on sewing and quilting, and has her own sewing tool line. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Lisa. I'm very excited to be here with you.
Tell me, what prompted you to get on YouTube?
Well, I would have to say the biggest prompt was my oldest son. So my children all left home at the same time. They got married or moved away to university and left me alone with just my husband, no buffers at all. And my son had been encouraging me for years to start a YouTube channel. And I thought it would be something fun to do. So I started it and I haven't looked back. I absolutely love doing it.
It shows, because you have hundreds of videos, and every video you're just so energetic and so enthusiastic. It's really fascinating. What was the first time in your childhood that you knew you were attracted to working with your hands or to sewing?
Well, I'm one of 6 children. I am the second oldest. I am the first daughter. And my mother sewed out of necessity, because in those days, that was what you did in order to get the finances and the clothing on the children's back. And I always loved the sound of the sewing machine. There was just something about the sound. I loved the construction. I loved the artistic ability to turn something flat, such as fabric, into something you could wear, something you could use in your everyday life, curtains, pillows, anything. So for me, it was a huge creative outlet. And ever since I remember, I have always sewn. I honestly do not remember ever in my lifetime where I have not been sewing.
Do you remember the first time you actually operated the sewing machine with your own hands?
No, it goes even back before that. I was sitting on my mother's knee, and our kitchen and dining room were side by side. So when my mother was cooking, I was able to sit in the dining room on the sewing machine, and I was on phone books and cardboard boxes under my feet in order for the machine to be up high enough. So I actually don't ever remember the first time. I just don't know a time I never have.
You know, I grew up with a grandma who was a seamstress, and she worked from home, and she had this very old Singer machine that was pedal operated. And I just remember her tools were out of reach for me. I had so much reverence for them because they were so special. So I am really impressed that your mom took the risk of letting you near her tools, near her sewing machine before you could even remember what was happening.
I probably didn't give her much of a choice. I probably bargained with her, to be honest with you, because I also like to do laundry. And so it sort of was a win win situation for both of us. I got to be creative, I got to use the scraps. We always worked together. My mother and I were very close.
Was she a good teacher? Did she teach you how to do everything, or did you have to figure it all out yourself?
I think basically once I started understanding, she kind of just let me go at it. Mind you, if I made clothing, I was not allowed to wear that clothing outside. It was probably a very wise decision on her part because some of the stuff was, well, probably not something you would wear out in public. But I learned from what I was doing, and she was always there if I needed the advice
Mhm.
and the encouragement to do anything. So for her, nothing was wrong. So once I learned how to read, I basically just got her sewing manuals that she had when she was in high school and finished teaching myself how to sew.
Take me to the time when your son helped your husband start his YouTube channel. Can you walk me through what that experience was for you and seeing your husband become a YouTuber?
Well, my husband has two YouTube channels now, but the first one was a fishing channel. So he and his brothers started a business for fishing lures. And my son did encourage him to start a YouTube channel so they could educate the consumer on what the fishing lures would do, how you could catch the fish with them, and that whole process. And he really enjoyed it. We're both not very shy people. We only have three children, so we could only teach so many, but this gave us an opportunity to teach more. He really, really enjoyed it. He looked forward to it, and I saw that in him. There wasn't really a question of me doing it. It was a question of when was I going to start doing it, because I did think it would be a good experience for me.
You know, I heard the story from your son. Your son, Corrado, is the one who brought your and your husband's YouTube channels to my attention. And I was so excited because I'd never before seen a YouTube family. It's amazing. And there's even a cousin somewhere that has their grandma on YouTube. Isn't that a channel called Spicy Nona?
Yeah, and her granddaughter has the channel that's called Sewing with the Dogs. It was. He had encouraged me, of course, to have a successful YouTube channel. Consistency was important. And so I continued to film videos. And when I had so many done, I said, well, son, here, now you can help me and put those all on and do what you need to do. And he said to me, oh, but mom, I'm too busy now, but I'll do it when I have a minute. So I had said to him, well, what do I need to do this on my own? And he said, well, you need to, learn to do editing. I said, okay, well, how do I do that? And he just laughed. He said, mom, you go to school. You have to go to school for 4 years to do that. And I said, and what's your point? And he said, mom, you have to go to school for that. I said, you're not getting it. What's your point? Just what do I need to do? And he just said to me, that's okay, mom. I'll help you when I have a minute. Well, that's like putting a red flag in front of a bull for me. I actually went on YouTube to learn how to do YouTube. And within a couple of weeks, I started doing my own videos. So, yeah, the story's right. He didn't have time. I wasn't angry. It actually gave me a challenge. And I knew if I couldn't do it, he'd be there to help me. And he did help me in the advice that I needed when I had any questions and I didn't understand the language. He was there for me.
Amazing. As we're talking about filming, this is what happens. My camera gave out.
I
It'll come
see
back
that.
shortly. So you're in your mid 60s now. You were at the
Yes.
time in your mid 50s. I mean, this is before recording and equipment for YouTube was so ubiquitous. Right now, you can go on Amazon, easily shop for lighting and camera
Yes.
setups. There's lots of kits that are available. But what was it like 10 years ago? Your gear was complicated. You had to learn a lot of things. And even the software editing programs were not as widely available and easy to learn. What was the hardest part of the process for you to dial in?
Whew. Um, honestly think it was the encouragement to do it, not being so hard on myself, accepting that I didn't have the education to do that, what I was doing. I had the knowledge on what I was going to do the videos on, but I didn't have the education on computers. That was more of a stopping point for me. Are people going to like it? And then I finally just had to say, you know what? I'm going to learn to do this because I enjoy doing this. And it's just going to be a process. So I still, to this day, I've been doing this going on 11 years now, and I learn something all the time. I mean, technology is changing so rapidly that you have to keep up with it. And it's been a wonderful experience for me, being someone older that was not brought up in the computer world, to have to be thrown into it because it was something that I was passionate about, and to continue doing it. And I always believe that, and I taught my children this, that never stop learning. The moment you think you know it all and you've stopped learning, you really have just stopped. And I don't ever want to stop.
You know, it's interesting. I never thought about it, but as complicated as video editing software is, sewing and the machines and the mechanics of it all and quilting is also incredibly complex and complicated. Which one is harder?
I think because I have sewn all my life, I don't ever think of it as a hard thing to do. I always figure there is a way of getting to point A to B that I need to do. And there's a seam ripper for that. We can take something apart. And with computer editing, there's always the back button. Love the back button. It is my favorite button in the entire computer world. Back, back, back. You know, so I think it depends. Like, some sewing projects are definitely a lot more complicated, and that challenges me, which I like. And
Yeah.
then the computer part challenges me as well. So I think they're equal, but in different sides of the mountain.
Yeah. And it looks like to me that the complexities of the process of kind of putting a garment together or putting a piece of clothing together is similar to assembling a video because, you have to film, then you have to stitch it together, you have to
Right.
produce it, you have to edit it. And that may have helped you. Do you think that your knowledge and your skills of understanding the sewing and the quilting process helped you learn and master the YouTube process?
I never thought of it that way, but I think you are right, because there are steps that you need to take. To get to the beginning to the end, there's a lot of things in the middle, just like a good storybook. In order to get from the beginning to the end, there are certain steps you need to take. And it's just finding out the right steps to get to that last page. But I think it's fun all the way along. Even, like, I've talked to people and they say, oh, I find it very complicated. Get it very frustrated sewing or quilting. And I said to him, you know what? It's just like a novel. Some pages are not going to be as easy to understand as the one before, but keep turning that page, keep going through. And at the end, it is a wonderful gratification that when you get to it, and it's sort of a bittersweet, because now that it's over, you don't really want it to be over because you enjoyed it, but at the same time, it was nice to get to the end.
What was the worst technical disaster that you've had, either in terms of sewing or quilting while filming a YouTube video, or the actual recording equipment for the video going wrong, or something happening in the editing software where the audio didn't record, something happened, the back button erased the whole video?
The thing is a lot of times I have the camera all set up. It's all set up to go. The audio's on, everything is going on. Then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, my audio cuts out and I'm just blabbling on for hours. Nothing. You just see my hands going or my lips going, and there's nothing coming out. So then I'm having to dub in, and then the audio is not the same as what it was before. And then you don't have the same thought process. So for me, that would be my most frustrating thing. And it really is my fault because I just don't check that little button to make sure that the audio is always reading.
But it's not frustrating enough to make you quit.
Oh, goodness, no. It just makes me, knock on my head and say, you think you would learn after this, after 10 years, to check the little audio button. Most times, I'm very hard on myself. I view the footage many, many times so that I feel that it's right.
Have you ever not published the video because you felt it wasn't good enough?
Oh, absolutely. When I do the videos, how I think of it is I really value the time that the consumer is giving me. They are taking time out of their day, and their days are busy. And I want to give them entertainment. I want them to feel good. I want them to learn something and just come back with a full experience. So for me, it's very important that not only am I dressed nicely and that my nails are done and that the project that I'm working on is being filmed well, it's important that they get that whole experience. I want them to feel that when they've come to see me, that I just haven't slapped something together and they're like, oh yeah, there we go again. I want them to come back and leave with a feeling that their time has not been wasted. Mm. So if I have done an entire video, if I'm not happy with it, I don't put it out.
And I can tell you're very well put together. I know as a woman on YouTube, my production schedule revolves around hair and makeup and being groomed and being presentable. I envy the guys because a lot of them can just put a cap on,
yes,
and shave.
I know. I keep thinking wigs might be nice. I need to get a collection of wigs.
Oh my goodness. No, you look beautiful. Tell me a little bit more about this perfectionist streak. And I ask because I noticed a couple of things. I noticed that there are fewer women on YouTube, and I do believe that we tend to be harder on ourselves than men. And I've noticed that your generation is also very demanding of yourselves, yes, because of the way you were raised. Mm-hmm. So how do you overcome this perfectionism to deliver content?
A lot of it has to do that I just put that perfection into my everyday life. I don't feel comfortable if I'm not properly dressed. I'm not a sweatshirt kind of girl. I'm not going to go to the store and just throw a pair of sweat shorts on and go grocery shopping. I never have. I was never brought up that way. I was still in dresses because we weren't allowed to wear pants and definitely not jeans. So a lot of people think I'm high maintenance or I just worry too much about it. But I don't. I don't even think about it. It's just part of my everyday, just like you brush your teeth in the morning. I put my makeup on. I make sure that my clothes are pressed, and I enjoy that. And it makes me feel who I am. It identifies how I feel every day. Yeah. I love to get dressed up. I want to put on nice clothes every day. I want to do my hair every day. I want to put my makeup on every day. So it makes me feel good.
To show up authentically on YouTube, I think you have to own it. You have to be who you are and show up in a way that demonstrates respect, as you said, to your viewer. And shows them that you are taking this seriously. You're there to do your best. Do you know what percentage of your current audience on YouTube is younger, is not your generation, but younger?
I have a quite large range. I actually have a very young youth. My youth, up until about 14 years old, is quite high. And a lot of boys. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, you can still be creative. And I find that I have a lot that watch. And I think what they're trying to do is maybe just learn things, but also be inspired. As my boys get a little bit older, once they've hit the 14-year-old age, they drop right off. But they pick back up at about the 55 age. And, as women, we don't have time. We're busy running families. We're busy, doing our everyday lives and working and trying to take care of everything. The last thing we need to do is decide, oh, I am going to make a quilt. Like, you really have time for that. So I end up with the youth, and then it kind of skips a little bit and then goes from 55 up.
Do you have a sense of how many of your, maybe anecdotally, how many of your audience members are doing the things with you? So they're actually sewing the pieces or doing the things that you're teaching them, versus how many of them are just watching to understand more about sewing and quilting?
I don't really know the stats to that. I do know that I do have people that watch me just for inspiration, and then they will follow along on a video that they liked. And then I do have people that actually put a tablet right beside their sewing machines, right in their sewing room, and they follow along step by step. So it's a little bit of a combination of both. I'm very lucky. I have a very loyal following. I don't know, maybe it's because I try to do a big variety of things, but they watch. They want to see what I'm doing. They make a lot of comments, and they do, go and try some of these things. Or I have had a lot of people say, well, I didn't do it your way, but I did it this way. And that makes me so happy. My goal is for you not to follow me step by step. My goal is to inspire you, to help you figure something out along the way. We'll all learn it. We're all going to learn it eventually. So if I could just take a little bit of the mystery out in the meanwhile, I'm happy.
And it shows. And I love how much you know about the people that you're serving. Do you have a fond memory of somebody giving you a piece of feedback or a story?
Yeah, it's actually a very emotional one. Are you ready for it? When I think about it, I want to get teary-eyed. I actually had a woman, she wrote me a letter. She was a highly professional woman, and she became sick. And she had to leave work. She went back to work. She got worse. She had to come back home. This went back and forth, until she was basically at home on the couch, not able to do anything. She couldn't go back to work. And it was a very, very trying time for her. And she said to me, I just didn't want to go on anymore. She said, every morning I woke up, she goes, I was sad that I woke up. And she said, and then her son bought her a tablet and said, Mom, you've always liked to sew. He said, why don't you just watch some sewing videos and see if maybe this will inspire you to do something. And he put her onto my channel. So she started watching my channel. Next time he showed up, he had to bring her a sewing machine. Then he had to bring her fabric. And then he had to bring her things. And before she knew it, she had turned a big page in her life. She couldn't wait to get up in the morning to be creative, make things for her family, make quilts for her loved ones, make things for her grandchildren. Even though her life was not the way she had wanted it to be, she learned to overcome those handicaps and find joy in just creating for the people that she loved. And that really meant a lot to me. I never thought my channel would do that. In her case, it saved her life, she said. And that really meant a lot to me. And, when you think that what you're doing is kind of not worth it, that's when you think back and say, yeah, it is. It really is. There's a lot of people that can't leave their house. They're either handicapped physically or mentally, and they can't leave. And so they need to do something in their own home, in their own life, to give them something to look forward to, give them inspiration, give them a goal. And if I'm able to just inspire someone and teach someone that can't leave their house, then it's the greatest joy that's ever been given to me. I'm not giving to people, they're given to me. These people that write me and, tell me, how I've taken the mystery out or I've made it fun because their high school teacher was not fun. You know, to me, that's the gift that I'm getting. I'm getting a better gift than what I'm giving.
It's so gratifying to hear that, and because I know how much work and effort, and a lot of it is can feel solitary when you're creating a YouTube channel and you're putting a lot of effort into the content. Did you expect this when you first began? I mean, what was your why or what was your motivation when you first started with YouTube?
I've always loved to sew, and my friends would often come over. Even my male friends would come over and they wanted to come into my sewing room. They wanted to see what I was in the middle of doing. What are you making now? What are you creating now? People loved coming into my sewing room and being part of my creative thought process. And I had a couch, and I still have a couch in my sewing room where they would sit down and they would give me their opinions, and it was always a fun time just to sit there and talk. So when I decided to start the channel, that's what I wanted. I wanted the viewers as my friends sitting on the couch, giving me their opinions and helping me make decisions. And for me to be their friend saying, oh, no, no, there's an easier way. Oh, we just need to do it this way. And it's going to be so much easier. It's bypassing all of the work. I have my friends sitting on the couch in the room with me, maybe sharing a glass of wine or two.
Oh, nice. I like that. I was going to ask you what your favorite beverage is. So, perfect segue. I'm not drinking tea at this moment because we're recording later in the afternoon. But tell me about your favorite beverage. What are you drinking?
I am drinking wine. I love a good red wine. My husband and I make wine.
I was going to ask, is it homemade? Because
Yes.
one of his channels is about making either home wine or home cooking and wine.
Right. Anything to do with the kitchen.
Nice.
Now, he's very good in the kitchen. And when he retired, he decided he was going to help me in the kitchen. But little by little, he muscled me out of the kitchen and he took over, which was fine by me because it gave me more time to make the videos and do this. But he's so good in the kitchen. He's passionate about cooking. The children are always asking, the friends are always asking him, how do you do this? How did you do that recipe? And I said to him, you know what? Just start a channel. And his whole thing was like, yes, I have time for that, right? I don't think so. And I said to him, just turn the camera on while you're filming. So he did, and he's having a blast doing. So now he's doing two channels. We just do everything that we can do, live life to its fullest. We share it with everybody on camera.
I love it. This actually brings me to the next question, which is how did your peers react of your generation? Like if you had a business card, what would it say? Would it say a YouTuber, a celebrity?
Um, uh, I really don't have a label on it, but maybe I should. My business card basically just, has my YouTube channel on it and information to get it. But when I talk to people in my generation, they're quite shocked on what I do. They think it's pretty cool, but they're very shocked.
Why are they
But
shocked?
I think it's shocked because we're not the computer generation type. It's not something that we do. It's not something we were brought up doing. If you needed to communicate, you went to the neighbors, or you picked up the phone, or you wrote a letter. So in our generation, it's still very new. But we're also the generation that we want to learn it. We want to learn. We are so excited with the new things, you know. Now, what it surprises me enough, which is more than my generation being shocked on what I do, is the younger generation.
What's their reaction?
Oh, they're totally shocked. I mean, I ran into a gentleman the other day, and he said to me, "So what do you do for a living?" And I said to him, "Oh, I have a YouTube channel." Now, he's probably 32, and he kind of looks at me as if to say, oh, that's so sweet. Kind of the pat on the head, the
That's
little
cute.
old lady. And he said to me, "So how many subscribers do you have?" And I go, "Well, I have only 500,000, but I'm really trying hard to get more." So, of course, he's thinking, I don't know what I'm talking about. And he said, no, 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 not viewers, subscribers, right? But I set him up for it, hook, line, and sinker. And I looked up at him, and then I straightened my shoulders, and I said, "No, I am talking subscribers." I says, "I'm considered a sewing YouTube sensation, by the way. Do you have your phone? Do you know how to work YouTube? Let me show you how to get into that." So, of course, he's now killing himself laughing. So he's checking me out on his phone, right? And he gets to me and he goes, "Wow." I said, "Yeah, not bad for an old lady." And he goes, "No, no, I wasn't thinking that." I said, "You totally were thinking that."
I love it. I bet you he didn't even have like a fraction of your subscribers. And this is the perception. And I want you to speak to this because people who are listening, some of them may be of your generation, some of them may be younger, but they still consider themselves too old for YouTube. What would you tell them? Is it a comfortable place to be an older YouTuber?
I think I love the challenge. I love the shock factor when something like this happens. And I'm not trying to brag, but you can sometimes see that they already are looking at me like, "Oh, you're an old lady. What are you doing on YouTube?" So to me, I just love that little shock factor if I'm able to give it.
I also have to point out that you have a proper business behind this, meaning
Yes.
your son was telling me how you educated the manufacturers of sewing machines and other equipment to start sponsoring you because they probably had never heard of influencer marketing. So what was that process for you like? And right now you are sponsored and you have your own tool line. So you don't have to mention specific numbers, but I'd love to get a breakdown of the sources of revenue or where do you actually get money from as part of your YouTube journey?
I do get it from a lot of sewing manufacturers, notions, fabric companies, pattern companies like that. For years, I did try to educate them to let them know what I did. So before this ever happened, I called myself a freelance YouTuber. So the term did not exist. It exists now, but it didn't before. I don't have a brick and mortar store. So I'm not selling anything that I'm selling in a store. What I'm doing is my goal is to educate just like a reporter would do, except instead of reporting, I'm recording and educating. So this is something that I thought was missing in the industry, that there wasn't enough opportunity for people out there to take classes, learn about products that were out there. I went to all of these manufacturing companies and explained to them what I was doing. Of course, a lot of them, they didn't understand and they were not really open to it. They're still in the world of magazine ads. So for them, it was like, well, why would I have you do it when I can put in a magazine ad? So then I had to educate them that, well, I have a 100% targeted market. When people are coming to see what I'm doing, they're coming to see what I'm doing. It's not a chance buy flipping a magazine. The industry is still an old industry. It's one of the oldest industries in the world. So it's changing the mindset on, how can we educate? and how can we advertise on this new platform called YouTube.
I heard from your son that you actually showed them a lot of your results, that you ended up posting or mentioning some other products and then show them the exposure that those mentions have received.
Right.
For them to actually understand that you have as big of an audience, if not bigger than an actual publication that they're advertising in. How did it click for them?
Links, of course, in the videos. So having the links in the description gives the viewers not only an opportunity to learn more about the product than what I'm able to give them, it could send them to other YouTube videos, other manufacturers, other shops. It's giving them more information than I can do in that little video. And so with those links, you can see the traffic. You can see where the consumer is now wanting to get more information. And I encourage them to give me a link that you have created so that you can see. You are going to be able to track it on your own. And I did a lot of this for the first more than 5 years. I never got paid for anything. And I can understand that because I had to build up my business. I had to
But
build
this
up.
is shocking, though, because they have no attribution from traditional advertising in magazines. There's no way for them to know how many people actually clicked on or like went to their website to check out the product or the ad, and how many of them purchased. Whereas with your links, they could see it right there. So do you think it was denial or just the way they were doing things, old school?
A lot of people have to answer to a lot of people. So it's not just one person that's being convinced. You need to convince the team. And once the team saw it, then they were more apt to do it. I think it was just something that they had done for years. It's a hard one for them to do the change unless they can see it. I think little by little. And then, word of mouth went that they said, oh, we worked with Laura in this video and we found that it was very successful. Not only getting traffic to us so that people learned more about us, but they were able to send that to their brick and mortar stores that they sell to. For example, a fabric store would send it to their brick and mortar stores and say, hey, did you know this? This is a new product we have. You haven't picked it up yet, but here's a video explaining on how to do it. So then they started realizing that it's more than just me standing there in front of a camera. There's more that they can do with it. And there's more that can aid the consumer. The best consumer we can have is an educated consumer. And they were also starting to try to find a new way of advertising. I talked to a lot of people and they said, we're sitting around the round table and we're saying, we need to do a new way of advertising. We need to hit our audience in a new way. And then at some point, someone at the table probably had talked to me and said, do you remember that gray-haired lady, the one who has the YouTube channel? The old one with that long white hair.
This is a perfect example of how you land your sponsorships. I've heard this story over and over again from any age YouTuber that's landed sponsorships. It's being top of mind. It's talking to them. It's educating them. It's showing them that you're part of the solution, or you're giving them access with your content to a new way to engage with their audience. That's really smart of you. If you had to kind of think about the main sources of revenue from your YouTube channel, which one's the biggest, and can you rank them?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't follow the numbers.
Oh, so someone else in the Coia enterprise probably has a better idea.
Yes, my son probably knows more than I do, because to me, the numbers are not important. I do what I do because I love doing what I do. Having that number go up and down or change is really not that important to me. What's important is people are enjoying what I'm doing and that I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
And now you have royalties from your books as well, correct?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And so what was the biggest reason for coming up with the books and putting in the work and time to write them?
Well, here is a shocker. People on YouTube that are following videos, how-to DIY videos, they still want the written format. This boggled my mind. I thought, oh, we're on YouTube. No one's going to ever read again. And I just thought, well, I'm giving you everything on YouTube. You're not going to want a book. Every video, there was like, where can I buy a pattern? Where can I get this pattern? Where are the instructions for this? And I was like, but they're there. Just listen to me talk. But they want them both. They want to see it and they want to follow along. So they want the best of both worlds. Can't blame them. Let's have the best of both worlds. Many people were asking me, write the patterns, write the patterns, write the patterns. Well, I do 2 videos a week. I can't possibly write all of the patterns of the videos that I do, or I would only be writing. I wouldn't be doing the videos. So it sort of wouldn't work out. So my first book, what I did is I chose some of my most favorite videos and I wrote the book based on those videos. A publishing company, and they took a very big gamble on this because they weren't sure if it was going to work either. So they sat around their round table and said, okay, is this going to work? The instructions are live. Why would they want to buy a book? But then they read all of the comments and they said, people want it as well. So they said to me, you know what, let's do it. Let's just take a chance and see where it would go. It ended up being one of their bestsellers that year. Books are not gone.
And the way that publishing world works is that authors have to bring large audiences for the publishing companies to be interested in you, even taking you on as an author for a book. So the fact that you were able to get a publisher to publish your book is a testament to the amazing job you've done on YouTube and
Thank you.
platform's power to create engagement and audiences that then translate to other platforms like creating your book. And so now you have 3 books. How many books have you published?
3 books. 3 books.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
And I'm sure there's more on the way, right?
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
I write those books that, that day between Sunday and Monday, that day you're not busy. That's when I write.
What would your advice be to somebody who is looking to start a crafting channel, whether, I don't know if it's sewing? What are some of the nuggets that you've learned on your journey on YouTube? What should they know that you wish you knew when you were starting?
It's funny because I have mentored quite a few people to start their own channel. And the one thing that I tell them is don't quit your day job. You're not going to get rich overnight. Matter of fact, you might never get rich. So if you're going to do it, you have to do it because you really love it. You're passionate about doing it, and it's something that you really want to do. Consistency is also very important. People want to know when you're going to be there. I do a video every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:00 Eastern Standard Time. You can set your clock to me. It is when it goes out. People are posted. I have one woman who works in a office, and I met her girlfriend. Didn't meet her. I met her girlfriend. She recognized me. She doesn't sew. But she said, every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:00, that's when she has her lunch. We can't speak to her. Monday, Wednesday, we're allowed to talk to her, but we can't talk to her Tuesday and Thursday because she's busy watching you. So consistency is very important. Mm-hmm. It's very important for the audience to know when you're going to be there and that you're not a fly-by-night. Yeah. And I recommend that people do a pile of videos and get them done and don't post them. I can't do a video today for tomorrow. Things happen today. And then your audience, once again, doesn't know, are you there? Are you not? Have you dropped off? Oh, I've lost another one. I need to find someone new. But they need to know when I'm going to be there. So get yourself a pile of videos. Edit them, do them, get them ready to go out. Just don't put them out, all at once. Put one out a week, one out a month, whatever you feel that you're comfortable doing. Do that. And that way you have 6 months already done. And it helps take that pressure off.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
is there something that's specific to crafting channels? I don't know, the way you film or you set things up or lighting or anything specific that you feel I wish somebody had told me that when I first started.
Close-ups and not skipping a step, not assuming the person knows just because maybe you have mentioned it every video that you've ever done. I don't need to mention that anymore. You do, because you have to remember that that person that's going to watch that video, it might be the first time that they are doing that project. And if you skip the video, then they're not able to accomplish that you have shown them. So it's very important. They will skip what they know. But if it's not there, then the person cannot learn from it. Give it to them all. And I guess that's why I don't do shorts. You can't do enough in shorts.
Yeah, no, shorts are really challenging with your material. You tell stories, you're engaging, you're enthusiastic. You do have quite a bit of entertaining energy, but it's your own.
We were a very poor family. There were 6 children. Times were very difficult. We didn't always even have enough food on the table. I was handicapped because I had lost my hearing as a child. I did get my hearing back, but it gave me a lot of disabilities. It gave me a disability on being able to pronounce certain words. It gave me a disability on being able to spell because I cannot hear the proper words in order for me to spell those words. So I had a lot of handicaps to come over, and I was not able to financially better my education, go any further. In those days, it was the men that went to get the education. The women were going to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Why would you get an education and throw that away when you're only going to be a mom anyways? But I wanted more for myself. And even though I had those handicaps, I wanted to always do better. I always wanted to strive to be better. I wanted to never stop learning. And even as an adult, I actually took an extra course 20 years ago. I took another course in school to try to better my spelling and better the disabilities that I had. My children will often correct me. My husband will correct me when I say words incorrectly, when I don't understand what they necessarily mean. I'm a big reader. I read a lot. And if I don't understand what those words are, I look them up. I want to know. I don't want to feel dumb. I'm not dumb. I'm just not academically smart like other people because I didn't have the ability, I didn't have the opportunities that people have now. And this is why it's so important now, if you have the opportunity to better yourself, regardless if you have a physical, a mental, or any disability, if you have an opportunity to have someone help you get over that disability, please take it. Because we don't have to struggle in this world. But the struggling that I did gave me the endurance to continue to do what I do. It made me know what I wanted, and it made me always strive for more.
To be able to sustain an audience of your size, keep them engaged, keep them growing over 10 years on YouTube, which is the world's largest and fastest growing educational platform. Do you realize that you now reach more than 99.9999% of what any teacher, even a university famous professor, could ever reach?
And that's, it's a number that I really can't even fathom. I think maybe people can associate with me because I know the struggles that they're going through. I know how hard these things can be for people to accomplish. I know it's only sewing, but it's not just sewing. There's so much more than that. There's so much you can learn from this skill of sewing. It is the act of learning how things go together. It's the act of creating. It's the act of being better than you were yesterday. I think everyone wants to be better than they were yesterday.
I thought when I watched your videos that you definitely had an experience being a teacher. It was just so obvious that you were born to be a teacher. And so it's the loss of any educational institution or even any company where you could have been a fantastic manager that they didn't have. It's a loss. But the magic of YouTube and why I'm so excited about older creators coming to YouTube, because they can now fulfill their potential that may have been denied to them for whatever silly reason in the past.
Exactly.
And look at you. You've done it.
I know. Well, I wanted to be a teacher of the deaf. I wanted to teach the deaf life skills. And you want to know what? I have a large population of deaf people that watch my videos. Because of my hearing problem, I speak very clearly. I don't slur my words. Every word is its own individual word. Google can translate me quite easily. People can read my lips because the words are very clear when I speak because I need them to be clear for me. So I have a huge following of the hearing impaired.
So years that your childhood dreams
have come true.
Being a teacher to the deaf, of being a teacher and impacting people, have been many times over fulfilled.
I know.
Because YouTube gave you a platform without asking how old you were, without asking your gender, without asking if you had the right to be a teacher, if it was the appropriate thing to be on YouTube as a 55 or 60-something-year-old. You were able to do this and your talent shown. And I'm so grateful for that and just so beautiful to see your story.
Well, you know what? I tell people all the time, don't let the disability hold you down, because that disability will make you stronger than those that don't have them. I work harder. Why? Because I have that disability. And I refuse to make it stop me. It will not stop me. You have no idea how hard it is for me to sit down on my keyboard and write an email because I can't spell those words. I feel bad. There's a lot of times in my videos that people will tell me I've said a word incorrectly, and I feel bad that I did for them. But I also know that's okay because someone will understand that that's what I've done. I started my career, I was 55 years old. I was a stay-at-home mom. I helped my husband run his business. I put dinner on the table and I helped with school and I did everything a good mom should do. And I never did anything for me until I was 55 years old. And then I said, no, I'm going to do this. And I was so lucky because when I said to my husband, this is something I want to do and I need your support, which means sometimes maybe dinner might not be ready and maybe your laundry might not be done. I'll get to it. I said, but it might not be as prompt as it's always been. I said, but I need your support. And if not, that's okay. I'll continue the life that I have. And he just looked at me. He says, I don't need to think about it. He said, it's about time you do something for yourself. And he said, you go and you do it. But he said, if this is where it's leading you, go and do it. It doesn't matter how gray your hair is. It doesn't matter how handicapped you are. It doesn't matter if you're shy, and it doesn't matter if you don't speak right. You can't figure it out sometimes. That's what the back button is for. And you can do it. And you are going to learn and you are going to grow. And every morning you get up, it is going to be another challenge. And I am going to be that bull and I am going through that red flag because I want to know what else is out there. I want to learn. I want to do all the things I never had the chance to do. And technology is given me the chance to do things that I've never been able to do before. That's why I get dressed up nice. And that's why I take care of myself, because I am proud. I am going to do what I want to do. And I don't need to step on your toes to do it. It's not about getting further for anyone else but for me. It's not for me to do it for my husband. It's not for me to do it for my children. It's for me.
Yes.
And if we can't take care of ourselves, you'll never take care of the people around you. You will never be able to teach them if you can't do it yourself. The whole time I stayed home with my children, they knew that I had disabilities. And yet I still read to them and I still did things that were hard for me to do. So it can be done. So
Laura is such an inspiration. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Laura, for coming. I really appreciate it. I'll link to your channel in the description. So very easy, SEW, very, and then easy. It's all one word. Laura Coia, COIA. You'll find her on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me here today. It's been wonderful talking to me. And you have asked me some very thoughtful questions. I'm going to have to give some of those a thought.